This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple pledges support in the wake of Hurricane Milton. 2 positive notes on Apple. And Season 2 of Silo gets a trailer. It is Tuesday, the 15th of October, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSCan. 2 hurricanes in about as many weeks last week, and Apple is stepping up for both. In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, Apple CEO Tim Cook hit Twitter saying Apple would be making a donation to help with relief efforts on the ground. And last Thursday, he said practically the same thing again. A piece from Apple Insider had Cook saying on Twitter, "Our hearts go out to all of those impacted by the devastation of Hurricane Milton. To everyone still in harm's way, please stay safe. Apple will be making a donation to help with relief efforts on the ground." Now, there was one comment pretty high up when I saw Cook's post on Twitter saying something that I've thought about for quite some time. Some guy named James posted, "Please make it possible for us to make donations via the App Store again." It's kind of weird that they don't, isn't it? In the wake of tragedies like the ones that have hit the East Coast in the past month, I used to go to the iTunes Store or the App Store to give $10, $20, $50 one time. Kind of weird they shut that down. Remember all the talk about weak orders for iPhone 16? JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee says, never mind all that. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote over the weekend. Basically, wait times this week are running about as they were last week, not shrinking as one might expect. Delivery lead times moderated less than typical for Pro Max models relative to prior product cycles, according to the analyst, increasingly corroborating our view of the initial weakness being an aberration. Mr. Chatterjee has an overweight rating on Apple's shares. His price target on the shares is $265. While Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani is a longtime Apple bull, he is more bullish than usual for the short term. A piece from Apple 3.0 had AdRock pulling a move he's pulled at least a couple of times over the past couple of years, putting a tactical outperform label on Apple shares. According to a note he wrote over the weekend, sentiment on Apple has turned more bearish in recent weeks, and we think buy-side expectations are likely lower than current consensus estimates. Bearish investors remain focused on the Chinese smartphone market, but we think the risk here is overstated and can be offset by growth in developing markets and a strong upgrade cycle in the U.S., where our survey work points to strong upgrade demand driven in part by AI. Sure, he's heard about competition from Huawei, but he's not worried about that for a couple of reasons. First, Huawei is said to be having trouble getting all the chips it needs, and second, he thinks Huawei is hurting the low end of the iPhone line, not the current Pro phones. As for Apple Intelligence, its staggered rollout should result in a stronger for longer upgrade cycle, in his opinion. Throw in wearables and services revenue, and you got something going for you. Net reads the note. We think Apple is well positioned to outperform against low expectations in the September quarter, and more importantly, on the December quarter guide. Mr. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $250. The interest rate has dropped again for the Apple Card savings account after cutting interest rates for the account last month. A piece from 9to5Mac says Apple and Goldman Sachs are cutting interest rates again. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed the drop from 4.25% to 4.10% last Friday, the 11th of October. Changes in the interest rate for savings accounts followed decisions by the U.S. Federal Reserve, according to the piece, which says they are expected in these cases. Something seriously messed up is going on with a few Taiwanese employees at a Foxconn plant in Zhengzhou. According to a piece from the Wall Street Journal, Taiwanese officials say 4 employees at Chinese facilities that make products for Apple have been detained by local authorities. The Taiwanese officials say the employees were accused of an offense akin to breach of trust, although the exact nature of the allegations could not be determined. The report says Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which handles policy towards Beijing, indicates that the action of the employees led to no financial loss for Foxconn. The council went on to describe the allegations as bizarre and said improper detention could severely damage investor confidence in China. It urged Chinese authorities to conduct a swift and transparent investigation into the matter. All of this follows relatively new rules in China, targeting individuals it labels as Taiwan independence diehards, threatening them with the death penalty. Taiwanese officials said such measures put many Taiwanese working in China at risk. Neither Chinese officials nor Apple offered comment for the journal report. For Apple worker news that's easier to get our heads around, we turn to Maryland, where employees at Apple Bethesda Row are reportedly pushing for a union vote. Apple Insider has the Communication Workers of America saying that over 70% of the store's retail and repair peeps have filed for a union election with the National Labor Relations Board. No word in the piece on when that vote will take place. iOS 18 brought an enhanced tickets feature that has so far been used by no one. Well, get ready. A piece from Engadget says Apple's first partner for the feature has been named, and its name is Ticketmaster. Disappointing perhaps, but not surprising. Describing the feature, Engadget says tickets viewed in the Apple app can show enhanced information such as venue maps, parking directions, local weather forecasts, and recommended listening from Apple Music. Teams and event spaces can also choose to add links to their own apps or websites that customers can access from their wallet tickets. While they're excited enough to issue a press release, Ticketmaster's not rushing into the offering. The report says they're first applying the new tech to 2 sporting events this year. Ticketmaster plans on rolling out the capabilities to more events in 2025. Pressing ahead on the OS front, Apple seeded a number of developer betas on Monday. One piece from Mac Rumors says members of the company's developer program got access to the 7th betas of iOS and iPadOS 18.1. Meanwhile, a separate piece from the same site says developers got access to the 5th betas of watchOS 11.1, tvOS 18.1, and visionOS 2.1. Look for public betas any second now. The OS updates are expected to see public release by the end of this month. If you harbored any hope that Apple was still secretly working on a car of its own, let that be banished. While Apple's permit for testing autonomous vehicles with a safety driver was active until the 30th of April 2025, a piece from Mac Reports says it is active no more. According to the report, the company officially contacted the California Department of Motor Vehicles on the 25th of September by phone to cancel its autonomous vehicles program manufacturer's testing permit. The permit was formally canceled effective the 27th of September, bringing a decisive end to the program. That movie that Apple was putting out for about 12 of you, yeah, it's out now. Mac Rumors ran a piece late last week saying that the Cupertino company's first scripted immersive video presentation for Apple Vision Pro had been released. Called Submerged, the report says the 17-minute movie is set in World War II, and it follows a group of sailors that are struggling to survive a deadly torpedo attack. Of course, a lot went into making the short, so why not make a making of short? Not surprisingly, Apple did. That you can see on YouTube. No Apple Vision Pro required. And finally today, if one season of dystopian humanoid underground dwellers wasn't enough for you, good news. Apple TV Plus has issued a trailer and a premiere date for the second season of Silo. The premiere date is the 15th of November. The trailer is on YouTube. While Apple's press release has a description, I'm not going to read it to you because I'm not going to read it myself because I haven't watched the first season yet, and I don't like spoilers. I hear they leave the silo this season. It was in all the headlines. Anyway, Silo Season 2 is coming. Enjoy, if that's your thing. macOS Can, brought to you by me, and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macoscan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.